Excellently with my message, so we will be turning to page 1421 in our Pew Bible if you wish to follow along, and it is from Philippians chapter 4, verses 8 through 9, and the message is titled, How is Your Attitude? The Apostle Paul, writing to the people of the church in Philippi. In conclusion, my friends, fill your minds with those things that are good and that deserve praise. Things that are true, noble, right, pure, lovely, and honorable. Put into practice what you learned and received from me, both from my words and my actions, and the God who gives us peace will be with you. The story is told about a baby mosquito who came back home after his first time flying. His dad asked him, "Well, Junior, how was it?" Oh, this was not working. Oh, okay. You know, I can just flip this one up and use it. It'll be easier. Thank you.
No worries.
Okay.
We wanted them to hear you.
Thank you. Did y'all hear that about the baby mosquito?
Yeah, okay. Thanks a lot, Kathy.
Yeah, so his dad asked him, "Well, Junior, how was it?" "It was wonderful," he said. "Everyone was clapping for me." Now that's a positive attitude if I've ever heard one. I got that story from chapter 23 in John Mason's book, Self-Talk for Success. The title of chapter 23 is How Old is Your Attitude? That question made me start thinking about how easy it is to let our attitude become old, stale, and stagnant instead of fresh, new, exciting, and invigorating. The more I thought about it, I realized how important it is for us to take care of our attitude. Think about your attitude like it was your car or your truck or your SUV. Whatever kind of vehicle you drive, it will run smoother and better and last longer if you take it in for routine maintenance service on a regular basis. Simply changing the oil, the engine coolant, and all filters keeps things from clogging up, and that keeps the vehicle from breaking down. The same is true with our attitude. If we happen to slip into more negative thinking than positive thinking, it's easy for our thoughts to clog up our attitude and break it down. You see, our attitude is created by our thoughts. And if we don't pay attention to our thoughts, a positive attitude itself can slip into a negative attitude ever so gradually, just one thought at a time, to the extent that we might not even notice how negative we have become. That's why it is beneficial to change a negative thought into a positive thought. John Mason puts it this way in his book: whatever we think about, dwell on, and contemplate forms our mindset, positive or negative. We are what we think, and that is a choice that we can make. We cannot always control our circumstances, but we can control how we feel about them. Recently, I spoke with a good friend of mine, another minister, who's usually a very positive-minded guy like me. In fact, we spend quite a bit of time sharing our blessings with each other and encouraging each other on this path of ministry that he and I have both pursued. So I asked him how he was doing in his recovery from his surgery, and he said that he was a little disappointed that it is taking longer than he thought it would to get all of his strength and energy back. He even mentioned that he still can't do as many push-ups yet as he did before the surgery. I asked him, "Are you feeling better and stronger now than you did right after the surgery?" "Of course I am," he said. "Good," I replied. "Now focus on how far you have come instead of how far you have got to go." He appreciated that reminder. I just hope I can remember my own advice when I am recovering from my upcoming surgery as well. If not, perhaps he can remind me of what I told him.
I will.
Thank you. I knew you would. Believe it or not, I do struggle with keeping my thoughts focused on the positive side instead of the negative. And sometimes I am even unaware that my thoughts and my words have taken on a negative tone. If you don't believe me, just ask Diane. She will be glad to verify that. In fact, just this last week, I found myself being quite negative about my circumstances. You see, I had a funeral on Monday morning for a longtime friend, and on Monday afternoon, I met with a family of another longtime friend who had died on the same day as my other friend to plan their funeral for yesterday for this dear friend. Spending about 2 or 2.5 hours with that family after spending several hours the morning of Monday doing one funeral. Not only that, trying to figure out how I was going to sort through the recorded conversation with this second family, picking and choosing and putting in order all of the thoughts and stories that needed to be shared to give this friend, their loved one, all of the respect that she deserved, and also to give God glory and honor and praise during this going home service. And also how to come up with a sermon for today. Honestly, I started feeling inadequate, not up to the task. I started wondering, how can I possibly get all of this done? You see, I was focused on the problem, not the solution. I was focused on my efforts, not the providence provided by a God who called me into ministry to get this done in the first place. Well, I made it. Somehow, by the grace of God, by the seat of my pants, on a wing and a prayer, I made it through all of that. But it was only this morning, along with a lot of listening from Diane and a lot of encouragement from Diane, that I stand before you today realizing that the same God who called me to this work empowers me and enables me to do it. But you see, I didn't come here today to tell you that you need an attitude adjustment. Just to ask you this question: how is your attitude? Have you thought about your attitude recently? Is it still as good as you want it to be? Is your attitude making you feel happy? If you find that there is something about your attitude that is causing you to feel bad or unhappy, then you might just want to ask yourself how you can make it better. One thing you can do is ask your family and friends what they think. Ask them to be honest and objective in their evaluation. Listen to them without being defensive. Try to put into practice some of the suggestions that they make to you. You see, people notice our attitude because our attitude reveals a lot about us. Another thing you can do is read articles and books about the subject of attitudes. Let me share just a few thoughts from John Mason's book that I liked and I wanted to emphasize for you. I know these are probably going to sound like platitudes, but they really do work. So far, you have survived 100% of your worst days. You thought about that? We've all been through the ringers, you have and I have. But no matter how bad it's been, you have survived 100 of your worst days to this point. God has made that possible for you. Another, one small positive thought in the morning can transform your whole day. Not every day will be good, but there is something good in every day. Don't ruin a good today by thinking about a bad yesterday. Today is the day you prayed for. Miracles are either coming to you or past you every day. A beautiful day begins with a beautiful mindset. Positive thinking will let you do everything better than negative thinking will. When you can't find the sunshine, be the sunshine, no matter how gloomy the forecast. Don't let anyone ever dull your sparkle. Did you realize that you have a sparkle? If you didn't have a sparkle, how could it be true? This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. You got your light, you got your sparkle, let it shine. Don't let anybody dull that sparkle. Now I understand. This can be difficult and it can be hard, especially in the face of catastrophic events like the death of loved ones, floods, tornadoes, earthquakes, and wars, even a very highly charged and divisive political climate without an uncertain future. However, I witnessed something on America's Got Talent this week that proves that even in the face of the most catastrophic blows that life can deal to any person or groups of people, hope is to be found. One of the acts auditioning for America's Got Talent was the Jerusalem Youth Chorus. This is our mission, they say. The Jerusalem Youth Chorus is a choral and dialogue program for Palestinian and Israeli youth in Jerusalem. Think about that for a moment. In the midst of this devastating war that began with an act of terrorism from the Palestinian side and a merciless onslaught of retaliation by the Israeli nation, there are teenagers, young people, Palestinians and Israelis in the city of Jerusalem that have formed a chorus to sing together about hope and promise and love. Not only to sing with each other, but to dialogue. They go on to say, through the co-creation of music and sharing of stories, we empower youth in Jerusalem with the responsibility to speak and sing their truths as they become leaders in their communities and inspire singers and listeners around the world to work for peace, justice, inclusion, and equality. Our vision. We envision a Jerusalem and a broader Israel-Palestine, defined not by hatred, not by division, not by injustice, not by occupation, terror, and violence, but by knowledge of a shared connection to place. celebration of individual and collective belonging to that place, and systems that allow that belonging to be equally realized by Jews, Christians, and Muslims, Palestinians, and Israelis alike. We reject attempts to pit Arabs and Jews, Israelis, and Palestinians against one another in service of systemic violence that robs all of their agency to even imagine, let alone choose a different way. Instead, as we create a home for all in the chorus, we seek to show what Jerusalem could be, and we use our songs and our stories within a broad ecosystem for change as a catalyst to bring that future about. The song that they sang for their audition was called Home, and it was performed for the first time in public by Philip Phillips in American Idol season number 11 on the final night on May 22nd, 2012. Philip Phillips won American Idol that time, and he sang the song again on the finale. The song was written by Greg Holden and Drew Pearson. Greg Holden said this: "The song was about a friend of mine that was going through a very difficult time. It was kind of my way of reaching out to them and saying, you know someone's here for you." I felt very personally connected to that song. The words, the lyrics are powerful. Powerful in a world and in a country where they are living through the devastation and horror of war. The Palestinian Youth Chorus chose this song to sing not only for the judges, but also the audience that was present, and for the audience watching and listening around the world. Hold on to me as we go, as we roll down this unfamiliar road and along this wave stringing us along. Just know you're not alone, because I'm going to make this place your home. Settle down, it'll all be clear. Don't pay no mind to the demons, they fill you with fear. The trouble, it might drag you down, but if you get lost, you can always be found. Just know you're not alone, because I'm going to make this place your home. Needless to say, they got a standing ovation. In my heart, as I witnessed these young people coming together in the worst of circumstances to show that love does work, and they have faith. They have faith that their efforts can inspire leaders and ordinary people the world around to come to their senses and stop trying to play winner take all by seeing who can kill the most people. It gives my heart hope. Hope for humanity. And it also restores my faith of a God that has faith in us to do that. How is your attitude, by the way? Our hymn of invitation for today is on page 562, Because He Lives. If there's anybody hearing this message anywhere, here or later on Zoom or on Facebook or YouTube, if it's caused you to ask questions and you want to have answers, you can call our church at 309-699-8631. If I'm here, I'll talk to you all you want. If not, please leave me a message. Please leave your name and your phone number, speaking slowly and clearly so I don't misunderstand it. And I'll call you back and we'll talk. After the hymn of invitation, if you're able, and after the benediction, please remain standing for the exit verse, which will be, I have decided to follow Jesus, using lyrics that I have altered to fit the occasion. Let us stand together and sing. Again, the definition of the word benediction is good word. And the good word that I leave you with today is this. Nobody, no matter how positive-minded they are, can prevent a negative thought from entering their head. Know this, though. Anytime a negative thought comes into your head, you can kick it out and replace it with a positive one. Go out and face the world, embracing the challenges that God brings to you. Amen.
Thank you.